Hey guys, today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at all the single-player content within EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you haven't heard the success story by now, EA's Battlefront 2 was hit with controversy involving loot boxes being tied to progression. But after a series of free updates to the game, it's not only become a fan favorite of fans from around the world, but it's by far my personal favorite Battlefront game in the series, for the reasons we're going to discuss today. The developers of the game, DICE, really poured their hearts and souls into changing the game around into what it is today, and it truly shows. I've been a part of the Battlefront community since DICE's first Battlefront game, and I really wanted to see this one succeed. In fact, the Soloplayersmatter movement was started by us as a result of the first game lacking single-player content. The movement actually managed to gain awareness at the importance of single-player in Battlefront 1 and 2, and even got a skirmish and instant action into the games. DICE seen just how large of a fan base they had for single-player content and added in more things. I say this because some people seem to think that Battlefront 2 is a multiplayer game only, but are unaware at all the single-player content that is currently in the game right now, which has inspired me to make this video. But before we get into it, if you'd like to support the channel directly, we have an action zombie film over on Amazon that we're selling. All proceeds go directly into new equipment and gear and other things we'd like to make. The end goal would be to have more regular content out for you guys, along with a variety of shows and topics here on the channel. Feel free to check it out if you're into hard-hitting action and bloody zombies. But for now, let's get into the video. As a quick overview before we break down each mode, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has 5 core modes for you to enjoy offline and single player. The campaign, which has 16 missions and about 4 to 5 hours of content for you to play through, instant action missions, which has 21 of the large-scale multiplayer maps for you to fight against the AI on, instant action supremacy, which has 13 of the large-scale multiplayer maps for you to play classic non-linear command post capturing, arcade mode, which is essentially offline team deathmatch mode with lots of custom parameters and 17 smaller maps to fight on, and finally Starfighter Arcade that allows you to play all 6 of the Starfighter assault maps from multiplayer in a team deathmatch mode against the AI offline. The campaign mode has you play through the story of Imperial Soldier Iden Versio in a number of unique missions. However, you'll also take control of a few other hero characters during your journey. While the campaign story itself was faced with quite a bit of criticism, in which we won't spoil here, the actual missions themselves can be pretty fun. In these missions, you'll take part in large-scale battles, take to the skies in starfighters, participate in stealth operations, and even interact with the world around you during downtime while there's no fighting taking place. The campaign is definitely a different experience from the other modes, as most of the events are scripted, so the experience can be a bit more predictable than the other modes. But being that it's Star Wars, there are a lot of cool moments that make you want to experience them again, plus collectibles to find which give the campaign some replayability and a sense of exploration. There are 13 missions in the main campaign and 3 additional missions as part of the free DLC update that was added when The Last Jedi came out, bringing the total to 16 missions for you to play and replay once you've beaten the game. There are even some unique locations to explore that aren't offered in multiplayer, such as the Imperial City of Vardos and the lonesome water planet of Pilio, just to name a few. The next mode we'll talk about was in the vanilla game at launch, but was given some content over a few updates as the game grew. Arcade mode is a team deathmatch based mode that allows you to create a variety of challenges to test your skills against the AI. There are 17 maps in total. 5 prequel maps, 5 original trilogy maps, and 4 sequel trilogy maps for you to play on. The goal is to simply eliminate the enemy team. It's pretty basic, but you can create some fun challenges for yourself. While the AI can only play as the standard trooper classes, you as the player can play as reinforcements, heroes, and also the regular trooper classes as well. Onslaught mode allows you to create time challenges and different difficulty options such as Last Stand, where you only have 1 life, or one hit mode where one shot will kill you or the enemy team. There's plenty to play around with, especially if you're new to the game and want something to ease yourself into multiplayer. There's also scenarios for both the light and dark side factions, which are essentially special pre-made scenarios against the AI made by the developers to challenge your skills. The next game mode is Starfighter Arcade, which is team deathmatch mode, but with starfighters. This is playable across all of the 6 Starfighter Assault multiplayer maps. This includes 2 maps from each trilogy. Just like Team Deathmatch Arcade, you'll be flying around as starfighters and hero ships to defeat the enemy team. However, depending on the map and faction you play as, there'll be turrets mounted all around the map that will shoot at you, giving some variation to the mode. You can go around and destroy the turrets on capital ships and space stations, which breaks up the monotony of just shooting at AI ships. There is also an onslaught mode for this game mode, where you can participate in timed and difficulty-based challenges as well. Team Deathmatch and Starfighter Arcade, you have access to all heroes in every era on all maps. So if you want to see Luke chop up separatist droids in half, this is the mode for you. You can also play split screen on these two modes as well. You and a friend can fight against each other or team up to fight against the AI. However, the next two modes unfortunately don't have these features, but they are a lot more expansive and versatile. Instant Action Supremacy has you fight against the AI in command post based objectives, similar to the classic Battlefront games. In this non-linear offline game mode, you'll explore the large-scale multiplayer maps DICE has beautifully crafted into the game. The AI uses heroes, vehicles, reinforcements, and regular troopers on both your team and the enemy team, which creates these awesome Star Wars battles that we probably all bought the game for. The goal is to be in control of more command posts than the enemy team in order to reach your reinforcement bar to 100%, which then grants you a victory. There's 5 prequel trilogy maps, 5 original trilogy maps, and 3 sequel trilogy maps for you to experience these battles on. There are also a number of parameters to set in order to create different experiences on the battlefront. For example, you can handicap your team or enemy team by giving each side more or less available units to play as. You can set AI heroes and vehicles on and off for both teams, and even turn off all of the AI across both teams and free roam the maps. There's also a way to play a makeshift heroes versus villains or one-on-one mode if you play around with the AI settings in this mode. While we won't be getting an official heroes versus villains mode for offline, you can still experience something like that in Instant Action Supremacy. The next and final mode is Instant Action Missions, the biggest offline game mode EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 has to offer. If you have the game already and have played co-op, it's essentially that, but playable offline by yourself in single player. This mode has 21 maps in total, all the large-scale maps except for Crate. There are 7 prequel trilogy maps, 8 original trilogy maps, and 6 sequel trilogy maps. These also include the capital ships from Online Supremacy mode and Online Co-op mode. In this mode, you play attack or defend command post based objectives depending on the map and faction you play. For example, on Missions Attack on Hoth, you'll be raiding the rebel base as the Empire, whereas if you play Missions Defend on Hoth, you'll be defending against the Empire as the rebels. Missions mode is more linear in that you have to capture one out of a set series of command posts if you're successful, and if you're successful, you push to the next set. In Defend, it's the same principle except you defend against the AI, and if they're successful, they push the player's team back to the next set of command posts until the final stand. Just like Instant Action Supremacy, the AI has access to heroes, vehicles, and special reinforcements, both on your team and the enemy team. And you have the option to adjust some of these parameters to customize your experience. However, in missions, you only have access to adjust the player's team's options. Across all 5 of these game modes for offline single player, you can adjust the difficulty. If you want a casual experience, you can play on Rookie. For a balanced experience, there's normal mode, and for you psychopaths, there's expert. It's actually not really that hard. The main differences I've seen across the game mode difficulties is how much damage you take and the aggressiveness of the AI. But in every mode except for the campaign, you can adjust different play options to customize your experience on any difficulty. As a bonus, there is also the tutorial you play at the beginning of the game that you're allowed to go back to at any time. The tutorial is exactly that. It introduces you to the core mechanics of the game, but in the unique backdrop of an epic raid on Starkiller base. This is the only time these assets seem to run this way in the game other than the campaign, but it's a cool way to get the player used to how the game works and plays. In all, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has plenty of offline content for you to experience in single player. At the launch of the game, it had nowhere as near as much offline content as it has now. In fact, it wouldn't have been even worth it to pick the game up if you were just looking to experience the game offline. But now, the game has transformed into one of the greatest offline games in the Battlefront series. It's well worth your time now, and there's a lot of fun to be had with it. This has been all the offline single player content in EA Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing if you want to see more videos similar to this one. And if you'd like to support our channel directly, please consider checking out our action zombie film Standoff, over on Amazon if you're into action and seeing zombies get shot in the head. Thank you for making it this far into the video, and until then, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.